Thursday. Gosh, the weather today, according to the weatherman, is the way it's going to be tomorrow, and it's the way it's going to be Saturday and Sunday. So I don't know. It looks like a pretty nice weekend up ahead of us, Robin.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
A few weeks ago on a Wednesday, it was the middle of the week, we had a job over in Daytona, so at the State College over there. And after we were done, I said, let's go over to the ocean. Let's go see the beach. I haven't seen the beach in a long time. Now, once upon a time, when I first moved to Florida, I was a teenager, and I used to go over to the beach. I used to love it, Robin. You know, this sand, this water, this every once in a while, this thing called bikinis. I don't know if you've ever noticed them before, but there's this thing called bikinis.
And Speedos.
Okay, see, I never noticed those. But anyway, so I went over to the water with you, and I'm looking at the spring break kids, which I used to be one, you know, and I'm not anymore. Now I'm old. And so I like being old.
You're still good. You're still a manly man.
Well, thank you. But like we went to the Wing House, and I said, okay, this is great. And she says, oh, is it a senior price? I said, yes, it's a senior price. Yes, it's a senior.
Yeah.
So you want to be a senior when it's the price, right? But when you go to the actual water and you see all the bikinis, you say, nah, I think I can suck in my gut, and I think I can pull this off. Dr. Lee Lindquist is on the phone. We're going to talk about seniors and how we can have a voice and what happens in our health needs. All right, I have to admit to it then. Good morning, Dr. Lee Lindquist. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Thank you for being on the air with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I love seniors. So seniors are phenomenal. I'm a geriatrician here at Northwestern Medicine in Chicago, Illinois, and so I hang with people over the age of 65 all the time.
Oh, do you really? Well, no, now, see, here in Central Florida, the situation we have is we've got college kids because it's a spring break destination, and it's also a retirement destination. So we've got kind of both ends of the spectrum.
Oh, yeah, I've been to Orlando many times. I'm actually going to be there next week, so it's beautiful. I love your weather, I got to tell you. Compared to Chicago right now, you guys are having a good weekend.
Oh, yeah, well, you're picking a good time of the year to come here. Don't try July and August unless you want to bake a cake. So, okay, in the last interview, we had a lady on talking to us about ovarian cancer, the common signs and symptoms, etc. And during the break, a listener spoke to Robin, and Robin was telling me that she was saying that she was 70, right, Robin? She said she was 70. And they don't even offer it anymore. In fact, they recommend against it. And she says, no, I insist on what is it called? The pap smear?
Yeah, the pap and
the breast?
Oh, the breast, yeah.
Okay, so help us out with that. Should us, the ladies in this case, the geriatric ladies? Oh my gosh, I don't like saying that. Everybody gets mad at me.
I'm not one.
It's a personal decision that most people make with their primary care doc, and as a geriatrician, there's some people that would benefit from it, and there's some people that wouldn't. So I usually look at the senior and treat each senior differently. Each senior they always have a saying in our field that you meet one senior because everyone's got so many different medical complexities that somebody might live to be 104 and look beautiful, have a lot of life in them, and then you might meet somebody who's 70 who is fairly fragile. So I always say it's best to talk to their doctor. Just because there's different recommendations for people of all ages, and age is not really a number anymore.
Well,
but it's really important that people kind of have these conversations and kind of plan for what they'll do down the road. And that's one of the things that I like working on with my seniors is kind of helping them to age in place and remain as active and healthy as they can be.
I love the fact that you're saying that.
We're really pushing, people to age in place.
Yeah, age in place. That's what I'm doing. Do you know, I love what you're saying because here's why. You're saying it on the radio, and we reach everybody. So you're right. The guy, if let's say they're listening in their cars, one lane over, that his circumstances are different than hers, and the next car over.
Yeah, exactly. And, that's the thing that I always notice is that each of my seniors that I see in my office, they each have a different view of their future as far as what they see themselves doing. Some people might think about, when they need more help down the road, either moving in with a loved one or even a retirement community or staying in their own home and getting help. But what I see a lot is that people sometimes will have a health crisis, like somebody's walking along, on the beach or something like that, and they'll fall or they'll fracture something or they'll, get hurt, and then they get hospitalized, and then their life just totally gets turned upside down. And that's when I get the phone calls from the family members screaming, "Oh my God, what am I going to do with my mom? She's been hospitalized. How do I get her home? How do I find a rehab place? What do I do next?" And usually that family member is working full-time, maybe taking care of their own children, but they have to drop everything and figure out how to help their senior loved one. And instead of reacting to these emergencies all the time, that's why we came up with planyourlifespan.org, which is a national website that helps seniors understand what their health crises might be in their future and how that they can plan to kind of weather them and make it home after one of these things happens to them.
And I think it's wonderful that you refer to it as fourth quarter planning, because you don't really know how much time you have, and people will project like 20 years into the future.
Exactly. And we see so many people, when I talk to seniors, I'm like, "Have you thought about the future?" They say, "Yeah, I've picked out my casket, I've got my funeral arrangements, and I've got my power of attorney and my living will. I'm done." But that's all about death, and what I'm talking about is life. I'm talking about like the 10 to 20 years before you die, the fourth quarter of life, where people are planning their retirement, where they're going to vacation, are they going to go to beaches, where are they going to go? And people talk about the money that's involved with retiring, and they talk about the end of life, but nobody really thinks about what am I going to do as far as getting more help in the house if something happens for me from a crisis standpoint, and also communicating with their children about these things. There's so many people that say, "I'm going to move in with my daughter," but the daughter has no clue that this is going to happen. So that's one of the things that I see is a lack going on.
I wonder how much of our health is caused or prevented by our ability to plan.
Well, what? I see a lot of people that actually, if they look for help and they plan for it and they're open to things, they actually do better. And if their families are involved, they do better. And sometimes the people that are stubborn and remain in their own home without help, they just deteriorate so fast. It's almost like they're living in their own nursing home sometime. And so that's why with planyourlifespan.org, it allows people to kind of look through what other seniors have, had issues with, what their health crises have been and how they've weathered them, and also how to connect to resources, many at cost. Where's your closest area agency on aging? Where do you get Meals on Wheels? Where do you find transportation? Where do you find, homemakers or senior groups? And all of these, you can actually plug in your zip code and find the ones that are closest in your area. It's a free website. It's nationally available, so anyone can today go on the website and take a look and kind of go through it and see what their choices are for the future.
Hey, a lot of people will come down to our state of Florida and retire, but their children are in different states. So when something like this happens, should the person that's here for their retirement, should they consider moving back to be closer to the children?
Well, it's a personal decision, and what I've seen that some people do is that if the family member is out of state, like for instance, I have many, there's people that live here in Chicago, but then their family member is somewhere else, and they can actually go to the planyourlifespan.website and actually put in the zip code and find out what the resources are. I usually try to make it so that the seniors do what they like doing, so if the senior wants to stay where they are, there's ways of helping them out. Getting resources in. It's just finding the resources and connecting. And that's where planyourlifespan.org comes in.
I'm at the website right now. It looks. I'm going through the, the tutorial about how to use the site. It looks very, very easy.
Yeah, and actually it was built by seniors for seniors. So we brought in a bunch of seniors and asked them what was most important to them for aging in place. And then from there, we actually then, like I said, took videos of them. But then we also had, doctors, nurses, social workers, case managers, agency leaders all come together and say, this is what seniors need to know. So the website is about educating seniors and their families on what's out there, what they'll need potentially in the future before they even need it.
And this is very, very helpful, because sometimes the seniors, they'll have a lot of money in savings, and then if their family says, well, you should go into a facility or something, the seniors will resist, because all they can see is their money just dwindling when they want to leave it for the children when they pass.
Yeah, and you know what? The thing is that I've seen so many people have conversations about money, but also this is the health. So if you think money and health go hand in hand, a lot of times people just talk about the money. Do I have enough money to live the lifestyle that I'm living? But then what about if something happens to you? If you have a health emergency when you're 70 or 80 or 90, then, how do I access the resources? Will I have the means to do so? Sure, but, the accessing and planning ahead is going to be so important.
Yeah, absolutely. The always the challenge with a short interview is that it's a short interview and we don't have a whole lot of time to give details. But I'm guessing the website is the best way to get the details.
Yeah, it's planyourlifespan.org. It's nationally available, free to use. It's hosted here at Northwestern, primarily because Northwestern Medicine is really trying to push aging in place across the nation. It's something that's very important. And if people want to see a geriatrician here in Chicago, we're nationally ranked. There's tons of people coming from all over the country. I even have patients from Florida that fly up to see me. If they want to find a geriatrician up here at Northwestern Medicine at nm.org.
Okay. Found it. Planyourlifespan.org. Dr. Lee Lindquist, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. Enjoy Florida. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. A first public hearing on Russian interference now underway before the Senate Intelligence Committee.
We're going to get to the bottom of this and do it right.
Democratic Senator Mark Warner from Virginia promising to work together with Republicans.
They are beginning with leading national experts on cybersecurity, also on Russia, as a way to set the table, lay a foundation for future discussions.
Fox's Catherine Herridge. Lawmakers in North Carolina confirming they've reached a deal over the use of public bathrooms by transgender people.
They have to get enough votes in the House and Senate so the replacement for last year's law known as House Bill 2 can reach the governor's desk. Speaker of the North Carolina House, Tim Moore, says the bill will first go to the state Senate. Social conservatives in the state's General Assembly wanted the previous law to stay on the books.
Fox Radio's Tanya J. Powers. Fox News. We report, you decide.
Napa know-how.
A Napa guy knows the only way you'd give a freshly minted driver a brand new car is if he promises to never drive it. Instead, let him grind the gears and knock over the neighbor's mailbox in something a little more suited to his skill level. And with over 500,000 parts and a little Napa know-how, he can safely drive something that's nearly as old as he is. It's not perfect, but it's perfect for him. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
Okay, Kevin, for the grand prize of $1 million. What color is the White House?
I know this.
5 seconds.
Oh, switching to Geico could save you a bunch of money on car insurance?
Okay. Judges? That's true, Kevin. They'll allow it. Congratulations. You're a winner.
Woo!
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
The NFL alumni is sponsoring a Clays for Kids, a sporting event to benefit the Marion County Children's Charity. The event will take place at the Robinson Ranch in Inglis, Florida on Saturday, April 8th. Call 427-0950 for detailed information. The NFL alumni will provide gift bags, breakfast, lunch, prizes, and drawings throughout the day. Call 427-0950 for detailed information on the Clay for Kids sporting event, hosted by the NFL alumni.
What you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
Instagram is also good for real estate because it's searchable. So you can search for a hashtag like a city name or even a certain neighborhood and find a listing you may not have seen otherwise. Rooms with candlelight and soft music help people eat about 120 fewer calories per meal compared to eating somewhere bright and loud. Would you like to be more likable and considered great leadership material? Just use your hand gestures wisely.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
Here are today's headlines from The Source, WOCA. The Florida House of Representatives has approved a constitutional amendment to impose a 12-year term limit on judges at the Florida Supreme Court and the District Courts of Appeal. The term limits amendment passed the House by a margin of 73 to 46, but there does not seem to be much support for it in the Senate. A Marion County school employee accused of illicitly taking driver's education vehicles home for personal use, getting into a crash, and then trying to blame a student has been fired. The decision was made during a Marion County School Board meeting on Tuesday, according to school officials. Melissa L. Stocker, a teacher's assistant at North Marion High School, would drive herself to and from work in the vehicles. In a document recommending her dismissal, officials said Stocker was not authorized to operate any of the driver's education vehicles. Unquote. School officials became aware of the situation last year after Stocker was involved in a crash while using one of the school's vehicles. Stocker failed to report the crash to her supervisors and blamed a student for the crash, falsifying a crash report to state that a student hit a tree. Private rocket company SpaceX is targeting this evening for a history-making event. If all goes well, a Falcon 9 rocket will send a communications satellite into orbit. The launch window opens at 6:27 p.m. Eastern Time, and the launch will take place along Florida's Space Coast. The historic part will involve both the launch and the planned landing. The Falcon 9 core stage has already launched and landed before. This will mark the first time the stage has been reused. If the booster works according to plan, this will be the start of a process that will bring down the cost of one of the most expensive elements of space launches. Boosters are expensive and have historically been one shot. They launch and are discarded in the open sea after they burn out. SpaceX has demonstrated the capacity to land boosters, however, as part of a drive to make these once expendable items multi-use. This booster has already undergone a static test fire, which is common practice before a launch. The Springs at Wekiwa Springs State Park is a favorite spot for many people in Central Florida. The clear water, wildlife, and picnic area are perfect for a little getaway from the everyday hustle and bustle. Every 10 years, though, state parks must update plans for changes and improvements, and the three parks that make up the Wekiwa River Basin State Park are going through that process currently. Those parks are the Wekiwa Springs State Park, Rock Springs Run State Reserve, and the Lower Wekiwa River Preserve State Park. The current plans will improve and update things like parking, pavilions, and even areas for wildlife. Some people, though, are concerned those changes may cause more crowding. To make sure everyone is heard, Florida Park Service invited people to Sorrento Elementary School last night to give feedback for the newly proposed plan, and they have an on-site way for people to make suggestions as well. If you're interested in making a suggestion, go to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection website. The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon is heading to Universal Orlando next week to celebrate the grand opening of his new ride. Jimmy Fallon's talk show will tape in Orlando for 4 days with a roster of celebrity guests. Tapings begin Monday with guests Vin Diesel and Shaquille O'Neal, who will compete in a lip-sync battle with Jimmy Fallon. Other guests set to appear next week include Pitbull, Blake Shelton, Scott Eastwood, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Nicole Richie, Flo Rida, Jay Leno, and Jason Derulo. The ride, which is called Race Through New York, starring Jimmy Fallon, officially opens April 6th. And those are the headlines from The Source, WOCA 96.3 FM and 1370 AM.
If you or a loved one is suffering with knee, shoulder, neck or back pain, plantar fasciitis, peripheral neuropathy, and even tennis elbow, and would like to learn about how there are treatments that may benefit you, go to drjuanyordan.com, then listen in on the first and third Thursday at 10 a.m. and hear from health professionals doing these treatments and patients who have benefited from them. First and third Thursdays, 10 a.m. Next Generation MD, right here on The Source.
It's time for Farm and Ranch headlines on the Southeast AgNet. I'm Tyron Spearman reporting. Peanuts are beginning to be harvested in Argentina, but the Argentina crop is the main competitor for the U.S. peanut farmers in European Union, which they have a little bit less aflatoxin problem, according to the officials in that area. They're holding a special research meeting down there this week as part of the Genetics and Genomics Project. About 100 researchers held a meeting there in Cordoba. At the opening, the Minister of Science and Technology, Walter Robaldo, said that we aim to keep the peanut industry of our country and of our province at the top of the international level. That's an indication that Argentina will be in this battle for markets in the near future. Juan Carlos Navarra, he said that the regional economy of Cordoba in Argentina is now exporting to 150 countries thanks to the fact that Argentina has managed to win the international market, not only because of a product of quality, but also first direct level service, which is fundamental to winning markets. But the researchers are meeting there. They said the crop is fixing to be harvested, but rain started this week. They said they expect a 29 to 32% increase in the Argentina crop, even though the acreage is about the same, mainly because of good growing conditions and a good cultivar of peanuts.
Headquartered in Augusta, Georgia, FPL Food is the #1 privately owned processor of fresh beef products and ground beef selections in the Southeast. FPL Foods invites you to visit Chattel Farms to learn about their innovative vision for the cattle industry as they showcase their brand new state-of-the-art feeding facility in Reidsville, Georgia. There are exciting plans on the horizon, and they involve working with cattle producers in the Southeast. And their big event is coming up April 21st in Reidsville, Georgia. For more information, visit the event website, chattelfarmsopenhouse.eventbrite.com.
I'm Tyron Spearman for Southeast AgNet.
Big band lovers, listen up. Monday, April 3rd at 7:30 p.m. at the Riley Arts Center in Ocala, you will be able to enjoy the best of the Stan Kenton Legacy Orchestra. Ticket prices range from $8 to $30, so come out and hear Stan's most well-known music alongside fresh new material written in the Kenton style. Again, that will be Monday, April 3rd at 7:30 p.m. What a way to start a new week.